I'll give you an offer for all you maidens out there. You have the ability to travel back in time. You have the ability to change the course of other people's lives with your decisions. However, you have to live with 5 extremely hot badass guys in exchange. Wait a minute. That's not a drawback. Anyway, hi, my name is August, and let's take a look at Bust-a-Fellows. Thank you to PQ for providing a review copy of Bust-a-Fellows for me to check out. Set in the bustling city of New Sieg, totally not New York, the underworld of society blends into the normal, everyday lives of its people, including one special female protagonist. As a rising journalist, our main character, Teota, investigates the city's inner workings, where she witnesses the death of an infamous lawyer. But she ain't having none of that. With the power to travel back in time, she's able to save him. Except now, she's landing herself in hot water, catching the suspicious eyes of 4 other extremely handsome-looking boys. If you couldn't tell from the very telling opening phrase, Bust-a-Fellows is an otome visual novel featuring a female lead and her attractive male love interests. But rather than diving straight into the romance or into the boys' chest, either or, like there's a difference, Bust-a-Fellows is heavily focused on its crime fiction nature. These guys are tasked to take on jobs that deal with the underworld, cooperating together with their own unique occupations and abilities. Limbo is known as a crooked lawyer who believes in his own justice. Helvetica is a plastic surgeon that's a man of many appearances. Mozu is an expert coroner who specializes in corpses. Scarecrow is the behind-the-scenes technical guru, and Shu is a vigilante hitman that for the life of him can't put down a cigarette. Despite this strange collection group of oddballs, the guys work well together. Kind of resembles a bunch of university dorm mates, bantering and ripping off on each other. We decide what's good and what's bad. There's an aspect of personal justice in their motto here, and that rubs off on our female journalist over here, the woman of the house, putting her foot down in front of the boys. But despite the serious investigations, a fair amount of the visual novel is pretty casual and carefree, with Teota hanging out with the guys. Although most of her scoops end up becoming a lot more than what she initially asked for. It does take a while for the main plot to get rolling, especially in the first few couple of chapters. It's quite slow, which is ideally not a good first impression for a crime fiction work. And then Bust-a-Fellows hit you with one of these.
Stay tuned for next episode.
猫どこから侵入した？
いないいない金かこつ
Upcoming episode, The Gunshot.
Cheeky, over-the-top sequences galore, Bust-a-Fellows is quite the fancy title. The creative direction in its UI and its special effects really gives it that unique production value to it, compared to your average visual novel. It's classy, while still abiding by its grungy urban feeling along with its faded animated backgrounds. It gives off that lived-in, busy feeling, where there's always something going on in the city of New York. I mean New Sieg. There is one problem though. You won't have this issue if you're playing on the Nintendo Switch version of the game, but if you're playing on the PC version, like I did, please pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. The only way to access the menu is the home button. It's not a menu on the main screen, it isn't the escape button, but the home button. These group of buttons alone control the interface, from skipping dialogue to accessing the backlog. For a typical visual novel reader, I've never seen the most unorthodox, unnatural key bindings in a visual novel before. There's also some strange quirks here, like not being able to save during decisions, even though you can just go back a line and save then, which just makes it pointless. It's these inconveniences that make Bust-a-Fellows slightly irritating to navigate. I want to fumble around with the boys, not fumble around with the interface. While Bust-a-Fellows is a slow starter, it's when we get into the boys' backstory is where the story shines. Damn it, why did the handsome looking ones have the roughest backstory? Who the hell thought it would be a good idea to make the sexy looking dudes look even hotter when they're all battered and bruised? But whoever they are, it was a very smart decision. Let's start off with Helvetica, the man who pissed me off right off the bat. He very much irritated me with his flirty, shifty attitude. His advances on Teota were very annoying. But oh man, his route did a complete 180 of my opinion on him. Dealing with his job as a plastic surgeon, he offers his services to women wanting to improve their looks. But Helvetica tackles the heart of the problem, the idea of wanting to change yourself. Plastic surgery may be a superficial change, but it can also affect one's mental health. Changing your outward appearance may give you some relief, but does that really mean you've escaped your true inner self? It's these mental struggles that Bust-a-Fellows dives deep into, offering a lot of depth and opinions about the issue, and exploring Helvetica's own case as a prime example, where no matter how hot you look, you will always be an oppressive gamer. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that in there. Anyway, moving on to Scarecrow, our resident elite hacker, Crow is very much a total dork. He's a bit awkward and everyone likes to tease him, but he's a pretty alright guy. And considering he actually shows some affection for Toyota in the common route compared to these bozos, that actually goes a long way. He's a lovable dork, and that's okay. Despite him acting like a self-proclaimed boss of the underworld, he genuinely wants to do the right thing, until his cheeky hacking comes back to bite him in the ass, putting him and his friends at risk. It's one of those crime thriller plots with a touch of romance mixed in, and considering it's featuring this lovable dork, it's a pretty engaging story. Now Shu's a pragmatic guy who's rough around the edges. He acts all blunt and uncaring, but deep down, he cares. I know it's a common Gap Moe trope, but damn it, it's an endearing character trait and it works. As a hitman, his cold attitude fits. He's had to kill other people, so the concept of death, while it hasn't lost meaning, he feels rather apathetic about it. His goal is to kill other hitmen, so it would only be a matter of time before someone hunts him down as well. Luckily, Toyota decides to smack some sense into his lone wolf demeanor. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want my significant other with a questionable and problematic job to come back with bloodstains and demonic eyes. He'll get it all over the carpet. He said he was gonna get some cigarettes, not go after villains. Man's gonna end up in a body bag and having an intimate talk with our other male love interest. Meet Mozu, the young chief coroner at the police department. He's got a unique quirk of talking with corpses, but it's fine. He's voiced by Jun Fukuyama. Bustafellos goes hard on Mozu's route, operating his story like a CSI crime case. It gets real heavy with the darkest aspects of murder, especially since it involves young victims. But rather than creating this mystery, Bustafellos places its focus on how our characters deal with the topic of death and their feelings surrounding it. Mozu may appear stoic and apathetic, but that doesn't mean he can't feel emotions, especially when it comes to the death of those close to him. And lastly, we have our crooked ace lawyer Limbo. Known for bringing justice to the toughest criminals, he's extremely skilled at this job. However, he won't just save anyone. He dictates his own rules and moves to his own justice with his bold, confident pride. He's actually the origin of the group's idea of personal justice. Because in life, good and bad aren't as black and white as they appear to be. No one really knows what's truly right, only the choices that an individual makes, and it's those decisions that end up haunting Limbo, which unfortunately brings up a flaw in Bustafellos, one that affects Limbo's route and the true endings. A large part of these stories involves the past, and they come back to trouble the guys. However, Bustafellos has a habit of creating these grand reveals or presenting immediate dangers, but sometimes these elements appear to come out of nowhere, and it's most noticeable during the true endings. The way to access the true endings is by completing all of the Side A and Side B stories, which act as the main story and a cute, fluffy romantic epilogue, respectively. But the climax and the true routes lack build-up from the prior routes to deliver a satisfying conclusion. Still, no matter what unexpected dangers face our cast, they're still able to come out on top thanks to their teamwork and familial bonds, the most resounding themes of Bustafellos. In conclusion, Bustafellos is a thrilling title that tackles the crime fiction genre, while also delivering powerful personal stories with its male love interests. Tackling sensitive topics like grief and murder, Bustafellos is at its strongest when these external conflicts turn deeply emotional. It's these delicate, sensitive moments from its characters that really strike a chord, making them more genuine and heartfelt. And it's all led by its strong production and ambitious creative direction, only held back by its inconvenient menuing. There are some awkward plot developments, but the real core of Bustafellos, it's with its boys, whether they're having a blast or opening up their heart. And for an Otome game, that's exactly what you want. Bustafellos gets a 5 out of 5 from me. And as always, subscribe if you liked the video and want to see more. Check back every week for new content. You can follow me on Twitter at TheAugustale if you are interested.